Hello, hello, hello. Hey, sunshines. How art thou? How is your evening? How was your day? How is everything? I am Shanna, also known as Creative Stitching Diva. But today I am Shanna, the parent advocate. I am that parent that is there for other parents, parents that are not available, those who are working, those who are not aware of certain things that are going on, parents who need help. I am here. I am there. I am that person. I am that person you come to when you need help. But I decided that this would be the perfect opportunity to get to know who our future mayor is. We needed to understand who is Louis Spears. Who is Louis Spears? How is he for the kids? How is he for the community? We really needed to know who is this man. Can you tell us?
Yes, absolutely. Born and raised here in Jersey City. I say that with as much pride as I can muster up. Essentially, I say that because uh, I am the best versions of what the city has had to offer. I've said this before. I grew up in Booker T, moved to Boswick, moved to Grant, uh, Harmon, Whiten Street, and so wherever I went, I would take whatever that particular community had to offer, and I would just put it in my toolbox. Because essentially, when I went to Harvard, I was able to use those same tools to, affect change. When I went to South Africa, I was able to use those tools to affect change. Massachusetts, D.C., wherever I went, I brought the Jersey City to those places, and so really excited about this run for mayor. I love the fact that we're talking about schools today because this is one of my favorite subjects. I love the education system. I love affecting change through education, and we know like that the best types of change happen in the education sector, right? When you teach a child, you can change the trajectory of their lives. And so I'm just really excited about this opportunity to sit here and speak to you.
Absolutely. I'm so excited about this because I haven't really told too many people, but I thought this would be the best opportunity to say that I kind of knew Lewis, like, when my sister was his friend back in the days in school. So I
Seventh
thought
grade.
that seventh grade, I thought it
Seventh
was
grade.
like six, it was seven.
Because she was in fifth grade at PS 14, and then she went to PS 11 for sixth grade,
That's
and then
right.
I got to PS 14 in sixth grade, and then in seventh grade she came back, and that's when I met her.
That's
The,
right.
the funny thing though is we ran for student council in eighth grade, and I was her campaign manager, and she was my campaign manager. And unfortunately, she lost. I won is because of all of her great insights, and we talk about that all the time these days.
What? I never knew that part.
Yeah.
Get out of here. I never knew that. That's
That
crazy.
is hilarious.
Yes. I never knew that, but what I did know and what I do know is that you are not too aggressive. You're really nice, you're funny, you're like that people person. And so I'm
Mhm.
like, wow, I think this would be different for Jersey City because we're so used to the aggressive
Mhm.
um people that want to go like deep down and dirty and get into people's lives and stuff like that. I think this is a different avenue, and I think this avenue is actually better
Mhm.
because we don't want to fight all the time. We just want to be able to be in Jersey City and live our lives. So I thought that it would be best to do something for the parents of Jersey City. The parents of Jersey City can have a voice today. They can
Mhm.
ask questions. And if you have a question, you can put it in the comment area. And and then we could talk about what do Lewis think about the school systems, and about our kids because he's an educator, and that's important. That to me is very important to have someone in our administration that is an educator, someone who deals with kids. Now, there's one thing I did want to say, and I don't want to go without saying it, and that's the fact that Lewis has a organization that he founded, Kings of Kismet, and I found it to be very, very, very important for young black men because my son actually applied, and he actually said, "Ma, I don't know if I could do this." And the crazy thing about it is, I myself was in the hospital the day that he applied. And that moment that he applied and did the little I think he had to do like an
Questionnaire.
essay. Yeah.
Mhm, mhm,
When we was in the emergency room, he was in there with me. And he was saying, "I don't know what to put." And I said, "Just be yourself. Just tell the truth and
mhm,
say exactly what's on your mind." And he did. And that's what got everybody's heart. The fact that he
mhm,
told his truth, the fact that I was a breast cancer survivor, single mom. And guess what, y'all? He went to college. He graduated college. Right now, he's doing the thing. So don't believe that your child cannot come from this setting, Jersey City. You could live in Booker T. Well, Booker T not
mhm.
here no more, but you can live in the project and still be able to come up out of it, be successful, because we don't want our name to be defined by where we live or how we live.
Absolutely.
We want it to be defined by what we stand for. And we
It,
stand for something way more than what is being told.
Absolutely. And in general, right, Shauna, I don't mind fighting as is as long as it's for a good cause, right? As long as we're making sure that we are affecting change in the lives of the people and the residents of Jersey City, I will fight you tooth and nail. Right, like it's like a mama bear, right? She could be as calm as she like, but let someone mess with her cub, and she goes off, right? And so, just being very clear that like we're nice, right? In the sense, essentially, I don't think that being dirty is part of I don't think that dirt has any place in politics. Honestly, I know people who are like, well, if it's politics is dirty, but politics is about the people and policies that are that would transform their lives. And so, like, yeah, I get it. Just like any broken system, but my goal is to change that. And it starts with one person. It starts with one idea. It starts with one policy. It starts with one promise to really, create the snowball effect. And so right now, I'm just really excited about this run because I get to do it my way. I get to do things differently, and people are. It's like wildfire. People are catching on to the message. People are subscribing to this method of operating, and yeah, I'm just excited about November 2nd, uh, because I know that 3A people are gonna vote 3A all the way.
3A all the way.
Yes.
So I'm gonna start off the question. These are questions that I always ask. I go to board meetings, I talk to board members, and I know some of them think I'm kind of like crazy, but what
There's
is a
nothing
good
crazy about
plan?
you.
Huh?
There's nothing crazy about you. You're passionate, and I appreciate it.
Aw, I don't think some people think that I'm passionate enough because I don't like my name to be out there like that. Yeah.
Mm.
So I don't think they think that I'm passionate enough, but that's another story.
It's funny because when I talk to you, your passion, supersedes like even like the words that come out of your mouth. So I appreciate you because my son right now goes to PS3, and I know that when you're advocating for your son at 41, I know that the voice that you amplify will affect my son's life as well. So I appreciate you and the place that you hold in this in this system.
Yeah. Yeah. What is a good plan to help stop the violence around schools, such as drugs and shooting?
So when I think about drug shooting, it makes me very, very nervous. Right, just to think, the last week or a week and a half ago, the principal of AJ's school emailed us and said, there was shooting around the school, but it was an imminent danger. Right? Can you imagine? Right, as a parent, like the
Mm.
heart, right, like your heart dropping at the thought of it. Right. Um, and so there are things that can be done in our city, in our community, that could really mitigate a lot of this. But it's going to require a lot of work from the parents, the community at large, the stakeholders, politicians, administration, police officers. It's going to take the efforts of all of us. So one particular thing is develop student ambassadors, right? When we talk about student ambassadors, these individuals will be people who, go into the young people who know what's happening in the community. They have their ears to the streets, and they could give us heads up, right? The next thing is they call them. Sean Bruce and Pam Johnson are these credible messengers.
Oh
um,
yeah.
Credible messengers are liaisons between the community and the school, and they can really mediate what happens outside and inside of the school based on the information that they have. Right. And so they will be an intricate part of the system of things. Administrators, we need to make sure that our administrators are vigilant. Oftentimes they get bogged down by a lot of the paperwork, a lot of the the systems of education. But really, that needs to be a priority of theirs to ensure the safety of the kids, even outside of the school, after school. And then the school resource officers, SROs. These police officers are stationed at schools. And so ideally, they would know what's happening in the community. So essentially, I'm thinking the youth, the community advocates, the administration, and the SROs. If we create like a system where these individuals are legit working in concert to talk about red flags that they see in the community, to talk about who's beefing with who, to talk about real life solutions and be vigilant about their pursuits. I think this could really be a good idea, a good method to like stop a lot of the drugs and the violence that happens in school.
Okay. So that's the first time I've ever heard anyone talk about like a plan to
Hmm.
stop some type of violence in Jersey City. I've never heard a plan. I've heard other things, but never a plan. And I think that is something that we need to appreciate, the fact that you are thinking about that. Um,
Hmm.
I just so happened to watch the debate from yesterday. And during the debate, I did see that we were talking about appointing
Hmm.
a mayor appointing the board of ed members. And I thought about that a while ago, and I'm not understanding why would we want our mayor to appoint board members when right now I think we should have a voice in doing that, especially parents. Parents should have a say so. Now, I do know that he mentioned accountability. Now, this was something he mentioned a couple of years ago. There was a parent meeting, and he was there at the parent meeting. This is the current administration, and he mentioned something about being accountable. So whatever happens on the board, there's someone who's accountable. Well, there's someone who's accountable now.
Hmm.
There's someone that we can use to be accountable now. The thing about it is, what about the other things that is going on in the city besides the school that needs to be accountable for? So if you're not doing one thing, adding, and I love your answer to that, adding something else to the plate of the mayor would be a lot. So can you elaborate a little bit more about appointing members? Because I did like what you did say yesterday about that.
So before I speak about that, the reason why crime is near and dear to my heart is because I lost a cousin to gun violence in 2009. And so a lot of what I do is around developing policies and systems that will really support young people in this journey called life, right? Because when my son shoots your son, Shana, you lose your son, and then I lose my son as well. No one wins in that situation. And so ideally, we want to make sure that and take it seriously. A life lost is a family who's in mourning. They said it takes about 3 to 5 years to stop mourning. And so can you imagine our young people who are dealing with deaths after deaths after deaths? It's like, what are we saying to them, right? And so it's us, it's the adults of this community who needs to really come up with a robust system so that we can support our youth to make positive decisions and not the other way around. In terms of the appointed position thing, I get frustrated with that, right? So right now, the governor, the mayor has council members. Many of them are rubber stampers, right? So they do exactly what he says. So that means that any legislation, any policies that are passed, they basically have to serve the mayor in many ways. So then the zoning board members are appointed by the mayor, which means that anything around zoning in our community has to be passed by him. When we talk about the redevelopment board, they are appointed. When we talk about the planning board, they are also appointed. So everything goes back to the mayor, right? And so this isn't a monarchy. This isn't like the king of Jersey City. This is the city where the mayor is a public servant, right? The mayor is the employee of the city. The mayor is supposed to serve the people and not the other way around. And so when I think about him appointing, board members, we're going to be in a whole heap of trouble. Um, when I think about his policies when it comes to funding the schools, he's not thinking about like our children. He's thinking about what is important for him to look good, essentially. And so I think it's a dangerous idea. I think that that type of appointment would really put us in a conundrum as a community. We deserve so much more. Why can't we give the people? Do we not trust the people enough to make right decisions? And in terms of accountability, um, I think we gave tens of millions of dollars to the county um, for SciTech City, which is a county school. There's no accountability. There's no accountability. In fact, there was a plan to accept 400 kids from Jersey City. The problem is that there was nothing in writing, right? There was no real expectations. So, in other words, he talked about write a blank check. You do it to the county. So, is it that you trust the county and you don't trust the city? The county has more overhead or oversight than the city does. How do we and so I think it boils down to this idea of who do we value in our community, right?
Right.
Uh, I believe that we have to be careful about sending a message of we trust these people with funds, but we don't trust other people with funds. And our kids are worth every penny. And obviously, I'm not going to just throw money into an abyss, right? At the end of the day, there are systems and structures that the school board, the superintendent, and the school system has to follow, has to abide by. So it's not like there are accountability measures or check and balance systems in that on that front. Um, I just believe that that's the mayor's way of deflecting, and him not wanting to take responsibility for his nearsighted uh, decision making when it comes to tax abatements.
Tax abatements. Yeah. I so Before we go into the next question, I think the wrong link was sent out.
For what?
I think the link that was sent for here was sent out instead of the YouTube channel link because we keep getting people in on here instead of watching the YouTube channel. They're coming in on here. Hello? What's going on? Guys, I think you're pressing the wrong link. Hello? You see that? I think they have the wrong link. I'm gonna have the lady send the right link. Shay, can you send them the right link, please? Because I don't know what happened, but yeah, because I just clicked on all of mine. All of my links are bringing me directly to the YouTube. But we'll fix it. It's all right. Yeah, it's all right. But yeah, that the appointing got me very upset because I almost felt like you wanted to take away my right or
Mhm.
my right to vote, and um it's basically saying they're a mess. They're a
Mhm.
mess over there on the Board of Ed. They're such a mess, and there's all this messiness going on without and if you have an accountability person, then they could just fix it. When in reality, there's a mess in the city too. Where's the accountability for that?
And the reality is that big government, right? Government in itself, the bigger it is, the more opportunities there are for dysfunction. And so my motto is sweat the small stuff, right? If we sweat the small stuff, and we get those things right, there are less opportunities to make bigger mistakes. And so definitely. That will be part of my leadership. We're going to sweat the small stuff. That's so important to do.
Right. Exactly. So I'm gonna ask another question. How would you use the office of mayor to improve school discipline policy in the school to prison pipeline?
Mm, mm, mm. This one is always tough, right? Because uh, that's not my scope of influence, really, right? I think in general, as a mayor, I will be intentional about supporting, right, and funding the school systems, and you know, using my influence to really help in the efforts, right, to end school to prison pipelines. That means working with the state, applying for whatever, not applying, but helping to apply for whatever federal monies there are. I'm really excited to help in those ways. But in general, I would encourage the school systems to focus on social emotional learning techniques and systems like that. Um, and then find ways to not necessarily penalize or be punitive uh, with our discipline, but find ways to encourage and have youth explore. Uh, because ultimately, we are pushing them towards their destiny, not stopping them from the behavior, because we already know that the behavior is a byproduct of the issues that they are facing in real life, right? And so if we're pushing them into their destiny, if you will, we're helping them to actualize their greatness. We're helping them to explore what they're really really good at, right? Instruments, sewing, right? I think that, like, imagine if you had that in high school, right? uh
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, not just recreation, but like computer programming and stuff. If we push them into those uh, bodies of influences and expertise, then they are more likely to be productive citizens of society. So essentially, that's where we're going. That's what I think we should go as the mayor, and I would support the school system in getting there.
Awesome, 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 awesome. I know that you have your son in school, and
Yeah.
number three, right?
Yeah. As a parent, we we sometimes make it worse than it really is. I am what do you call a helicopter dad at its worst, right? Like, or best. I like to think it's the best, but I mean, I'm sure the people on the receiving side are like, this guy's annoying. But like, it's very important that we set our children up for the best possible, situation when it comes to education. And so he was in Catholic school his first 4 years of his life, and he did very well there. And so I had my trepidations around sending him to public schools because it's it was different. It was a transition. All of his friends were at the Catholic schools. All the parents, we build a coalition, if you will, to like support our kids. We had play dates, parties, and they're still friends, right? And so I took him out of everything that he knew to put him into the public school system. And so that transition was very difficult for me. But when he got to school, he's like, "Daddy, I'm fine." Or I said to him the first day, "AJ, talk to me. How was your day at school?" He said, "Daddy, I don't want to talk about it." I'm like, okay, So it's like he gets to that point where he just doesn't want to talk about school. He wants to keep like school at school and then home at home. We're dealing with a 5-year-old adult here, right? And so you know exactly what I'm talking about because you have one of them.
Uh-huh. That's why I'm laughing hard. I do.
And so, just the transition really made me nervous, but I'm happy that I sent him there. The PTA there is awesome. His teachers are amazing. And this 5-year-old who's been 5 for about a couple of days has been reading like books, and I'm just really excited about like who he is and who he's becoming in this public school world.
Nice. Nice, nice, nice. I think that the number one support that we need to give, and I learned throughout my oldest son and the one that I have now, because they're 10 years apart. That's another story. But I learned that the teachers, we need to give so much support to them. The
Mm-hmm.
support that we give to the teachers will help our child and us. And I think that this is something that I did want to share, that me being so supportive to the teachers that I have for my kids helped in the long run, because they see the passion that I had. They see the passion that I have, not just with the kids, but with them. If they needed anything, I'm always like, I'm there. I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
I got you.
Mm-hmm.
I always volunteer. And if they have anything that they're overwhelmed about, because some teachers, they don't want to report things or tell things. And I'm like, I'm there. I'll tell. I'll go to I'll
Mm-hmm.
go to the board members, and I'll speak on it at the board meeting. So that brings me to another question, and I just want to mention about the do you believe city schools have enough money to provide each child with a quality opportunity to learn? Explain your answer. If you believe more resources are in order, where should they come from?
So say the first question once more.
They Do you believe city schools have enough money to provide each child with a quality opportunity to learn?
So enough money to provide. So we could look at it from two different ways, right? The fund, right? There's money given from the state, from the property taxes and anything local, to really come up with this large sum of money that's supposed to support our kids. If I'm not mistaken, is about 23,000 per kid. Uh, And so when I'm thinking about that number and the 180 days that they're in school, right? Within that time span, 23,000 is supposed to support those kids in the 180 days. That means we're talking about food. Well, for the lower socioeconomic folks, right? We're talking about books. We're talking about teachers. We're talking about the environment. We're talking so there's so much. Obviously, no, it's not enough, right? It's not enough resources. I mean, it's not enough funds coming in to support the quality opportunity to learn. But even in that system, right, it's so complex in terms of funding. Like the school board, the state entity is supposed to support the school board. The schools when it comes to uh, the function, not like the building stuff, like the ceilings and
Mm-hmm.
the roofs, right, the windows. That's the state entity's responsibility, right, and then to fix essentially. But then it's red tape and bureaucracy and all that craziness that gets in the way. And so the short answer is no. But it gets more and more complex, right? Because we're talking about state cutting funding. The city tax levy is lower in Jersey City than it is in other cities. We're also talking about the state believing that because we have a certain amount of people in our community making a certain amount of money, that we are in a position to take care of ourselves, right? And so it's so complex when it comes to funding. But then when we're talking about quality opportunity to learn, I think about the human capital. That means the teachers, support staff, administration. I think in general, yes, we do, but it's difficult, right? Because it's so complex. It's not a one size fit all thing. Professional development looks different and on different levels. And so it's very complex. So one particular leader might subscribe to certain things and best practices that work. Meanwhile, another one might not do it, and there's no real systemic way of like handling, the processes that work. And so yes, human capital wise, but when I think about the resources, so many things. This is so convoluted, man. That question was so jam packed with so much that I could talk about.
I press. You think?
Oh
You
yeah,
think it is?
but I also want to just make this very clear. When you talk about resources, the biggest resource that our kids can have is a parent, right?
Yes.
Essentially, parents have more power than they know, right? And so,
Yes.
as a parent advocate, creating systems around supporting and developing other parents to be advocates for their children, speak out against issues in the community, and make demands for next steps. Like Jersey City Together does that already. And so when we're talking about being a parent advocate, the parent, the community, that's the most important part of this whole formula, because if parents are quiet while things are happening to their children, then we're in a whole heap of trouble.
And that's what makes me nervous, because I've noticed that a lot of parents, not necessarily that they're quiet, more so that um everybody speaks to each other. Everyone
Yeah,
speaks to, my friend is going to speak to that friend, and that friend is going to speak to that friend, and we complain all the time.
yeah.
We will complain and we'll say, this happened to my child, that happened to, such and such child. But what we don't realize is we are complaining to each other, but we're not complaining to the right necessary people that can help change the issue. And that's where I come in, and I have someone who taught me a lot about advocating for schools and learning the necessary people, and that's Monique Andrews. She's an advocate as well, educational
Oh, Mo,
advocate.
I just met Mo.
Oh yeah, you just met
Yeah,
Mo.
she's so delightful. I'm blessed to have connected with her. She's amazing.
Yeah. So those are the people who you have to line yourself up with, so you are able to learn certain things that's going on. And when it comes to learning the history and who's this person and who's that person, it really opened up my eyes to see, wow, this is what's really going on. Because I don't think people realize that, especially our own color, it's more so about those people who will sell their self to get money. And I'm gonna be for real. I'm gonna tell the truth. They're gonna get money because they need a job, or they need a new house, or they want to open up a store, and they will let things happen in this school system. And that's what I've witnessed, and it hurts me so much because it's been times where my son was being bullied, and because they didn't want it to go out of the school, they shut it down. And that's what I want parents to know. You have a voice. You could say whatever you want to say, because we are the ones who, if our kids wasn't there, they wouldn't have a job.
Right.
So I try to get more people out there to, just be more advocate about your child. I and I have a problem with this, and I don't think it's a problem, but I have a problem with this. When people are telling me about my child, I'm like, so what about that child? And what about that child?
We
Okay,
gotta
you talking
stop
about
that,
my
Shauna.
child, but I want to know if if my child don't have this, what about the other child? Do that child have that? Like, I have a problem. Like, I'm always thinking of other people's kids, and yeah, I think my son get jealous about that. He's like, "Look, I don't care, just me." But if anybody have any questions, you can put the questions in the comment area, the chat area. Um, I do believe more people are on Facebook than anything. Um, but you could put that in the comment area. The YouTube, um, there's a YouTube link that is in the chat area as well for Facebook if you want to ask a question on the YouTube channel. But yeah, so I do have one more question that I'm going to ask. And as a Black male from Jersey City, the project, you can identify with a good portion of the students in Jersey City Public Schools. If they are listening, what would you tell them to ease their anxiety and to know they can do anything they want and be successful?
Good question. I'm thinking about what I would have wanted to hear in their situations now. Um, the one thing that comes to mind, the quote that comes to mind is, "No matter where you're from, your dreams are valid." And
Mm,
oftentimes we stifle our dreams because we look at our current situation and we measure ourselves up to what we don't have. But I would love for the youth to know, dream big. uh, Nothing is impossible. And uh, there's something waiting for you after every step that you take, right? But it's going to be required for you to take the step first. And you have it. You have what it takes to be successful. Growing up in Jersey City, and I say this often, Harvard wanted what Jersey City raised, right? And when you think about it, there's a certain swag that comes along when you grow up in Jersey City. Urban communities have, and then there's a certain intuition that you develop, right? You can't walk down certain blocks or go to certain places because you already know that there could be danger, or something that's not right lurking on the other side, right? You know that you know how to create friendships, even if given whatever situation, because you understand that we're stronger together, right? And so essentially, just know that you bring a set of value. You're valuable in other arenas, even though you may not feel it, you may not know it, you may not understand it, but just put one foot in front of the other, and give it your best shot.
That's what's up. I think that is so dope to have another black man who went to
Mhm.
Harvard. What made you go to Harvard? Like, who wouldn't want to go to Harvard? But what made you go to Harvard?
So something crazy happened in my graduate experience. But long story short, one of my professors, Dr. Lois Weiner, I had in graduate school at NJCU. Something happened, and I thought that I was going to be disciplined for it when I went to our office hours. And during that time, she suggested that I go to Harvard University. And it's like I went in there thinking I was going to get in trouble, but she suggested that I went there based on like my intuition, what I spoke about in class, my work ethic, right? And I said to her, "I'll go if you write me a recommendation letter," because she was a Harvard grad herself. And she said, "Bet." So I got Daniel Rivera, who is in charge of human resources right now, who was my principal at the time, to write me a recommendation letter, Dr. Lois Weiner, and I got another like former teacher or something like that to write me another recommendation letter. I got friends to help me with the essays, right? Just like it was just a community effort. I never thought I could go, right? Who would have thought that this black kid from Booker T Projects would make it? And it wasn't because I didn't have the grades or the mental capacity to do the work or whatever. It was really because I wasn't dreaming big enough, right? And so
Wow.
essentially, dream big. What's the worst that could happen? They tell you no, right? At least you know you tried, right? And so think about the craziest. I want them to pause right now. Whatever child, whoever's watching this, I want you to pause right now and think of any possible dream of yours. I don't care if you want to be a scuba diver instructor to like I don't know a paleontologist, whatever that is. Don't look at your current situation. Have your vision speak to your current situation and not the other way around, right? And so essentially, you know, like what do I mean by that? Let me give you an example, Shauna. If you have a job interview, right, and you don't have enough money to catch a bus, right? It's like, oh well, I'm not gonna be able to make it to my job interview because I don't have enough money. Right there, you're having your circumstance speak to your vision. No, the
Right.
other way around. If you don't have any money, now you getting up 2 hours earlier, getting dressed, putting on your clothes, and you're walking because your vision is speaking to your circumstance, right? So you're constantly pursuing your vision, you're constantly pursuing your goals, and whatever comes through, you're throwing it away. Like I get that this is a real reality for me, but I'm not going to focus on it because I have tunnel vision. So you have your vision speak to your circumstances and not the other way around. Does that
That's
make
so
sense?
dope. That makes a lot of sense. And I think that parents who are listening, watching, tell that to your kids
For
because
sure.
I one thing in my household and you know, Louis, like my family background, like we were into education. Like, you know, it wasn't a fact. It wasn't a matter of I don't think I'm going to college. When it came down to my son, it wasn't no, are you going to college? That
Right.
wasn't
It's like
the
which
question in
college
my
are you
household.
going to?
Which one are
That's
you
right.
going to?
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to major for?
Mm-hmm.
When he was a junior, I was telling him, apply for this, apply for that. And I was doing so many scholarships for him that I think I even did a scholarship for a single black woman with who loves yarn. I didn't care what it was. I really
Mm-hmm.
didn't. If you gave him $100, that was something towards his scholarship. So I think that a lot of the parents that I spoke to said we can't afford it, and I don't want him to go to school or her to go to school and college and have this debt.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, let me tell you something. My son, first year in school, because he's never been a bad kid at all. He's
Mm-hmm.
always did his work. He had great grades. But once he went to school, because I taught him how to be independent, he was doing his own FAFSA, and he was in there with the college the football team. The football team was asking their parents, waiting for their parents to do it. Whereas I told him, no, you do it. And if you have a question, you ask me. And the president would call me. I think this is great. His coach, this is great. So when we hit a it was a block
A
where there
roadblock.
was, yeah, it was a
Yeah.
block where something happened and we couldn't get the money. Obviously, I think he kind of messed up on the FAFSA. That was another story. He messed
Mhm.
up. We hit a block and I'm like, what do I do? $10,000. What do I
Mhm.
do?
Mhm.
I just said, listen, I don't have this money. I'm a single
Mhm.
black mom. I'm disabled. I need help. Do you
Mhm.
know they had a talk with the principal, not the principal, the president. They had a talk with the coach, and they said 24 hours later said, Miss Givens is done. It's taken care of. He could apply for his classes, and it
Oh
was
wow.
wiped away.
Wow.
So don't ever think that you just don't have. There's always a means, there's always a way. And believe me, people want you to go to school. They want you to go to their college. They want you to succeed. You have to want it too. And
Mhm.
not just you, but your parents, your family, your sis. It's a whole thing. Like my sons are blessed to have my sister, your friend, my
Mhm.
mom, my
Mhm.
other sister. Like my immediate family is just like we are all on it. We
Yeah.
are all on it. My son had his car payment paid because he did a great time in
Mm.
school. And they just wanted him to focus on school and not have to
Mhm.
worry about working to pay a bill. So
Mhm.
you could do it, man. You could do
Yeah.
it. I really appreciate you being on and explaining who you are, what you about, and talking to not just the parents but to the students.
And so I'm just excited about this run because we're breaking like glass ceilings, and we're debunking a lot of stereotypes. We are pushing past any limits that were put on the community. And this is our opportunity to do something great, not just as parents, or not as black folks or whatever, right? Is really an opportunity to do something as amazing residents of Jersey City, New Jersey. And November 2nd is 11 days away. 3A all the way.
3A all the way.
And honestly, it really is important for us to elect someone who understands the community, someone who gets, the nuances and the struggles of working families, someone who, is a man of integrity, a man of valor, someone who's empathetic and compassionate to the needs of the people of the community, someone who has a vision beyond where we are as a community, someone who loves this city, and that someone is Louis Spears. And I appreciate you for inviting me here. And if folks have questions or would like to know anything else more about us or me or about this campaign, spearsforjerseycity.com, and hit us with an email if they want particular questions answered. We're also on Reddit, where we've answered questions on there. And we also do live streaming at least once a week. And you're more than welcome to come and join and ask questions there. So we are around. If you see me around, say what's up. I'll look forward to meeting and seeing all of you.
Yeah, and you can say what's up because believe me, he is hilarious. He's funny. He's very, very, very cool, like down to earth. You don't have to worry about being proper and all of that. And that's what we need. We need someone who can identify with us and someone who you're not nervous to be around. You're scared to say certain things, or
Mhm.
because to be honest, I'm not a scary type of person, but I feel some type like I have to be different around certain people in the administration now because I was told I'm a conspiracy theorist.
Oh wow! Oh wow!
I was told I'm a conspiracy theorist because I was spitting facts. That's what we got to keep doing. We got to keep spitting facts. But if you want to purchase the merchandise, our wonderful moderators are adding it right there. I have my mask. I have my shirt. If you need
Yeah. Poster,
flyers and posters and
lawn
what is it?
signs,
Yes, if you need that, hit them up because
and
I
you can
have
hit
a
us up.
lot. Yeah.
You can hit us up at campaign at spearsforjc.com. Campaign at spearsforjc.com.
Campaign. Okay, they're gonna put that up there now, and the merch is there, and donation. So listen. We all know independent. He is literally just going off on the people. Okay, when I say it helps,
Mm-hmm.
$5, $2, $3,
No,
it helps.
seriously. We take
It
50
helps.
cent, whatever you got.
It helps. So the donation link is right there. She just added that and anything helps. It really do. And that way he can be able to function the right way. Without having to, I mean, think about it. There are so many people in office who never ran a day in their life before and won. And that's what we're looking at right now.
Yes, history in the making. Absolutely.
That's exactly what we're looking at. Thank you so much, Lewis, future
Thank you
mayor.
for having me.
3-8 all the way.
Yeah. November 2nd. Please do.
November 2nd. You guys have a good one, and I will see y'all later.